Hello, folks. Welcome to the 2015 Iowa Pro-Am. I'm Jason Corley from Bow Junkie, standing here with ASA Rookie of the Year for 2014, Mr. Andy Callaway, for a What's a Pro shooting segment brought to you by ABB. Andy, we're going to go through your setup. You are obviously typically known for your 3D shooting. So when I first saw you come to indoor events, I was kind of like, what the heck are you doing here? But there's a reason why you come here, and it's because you said something to me. You said, man, if you're going to be a good 3D shooter, you got to shoot dots during the winter. Explain that real quick before we get into your setup.
Well, shooting spots, it gives you your form and your mental game, all good practice to go out into the 3D world and make that perfect shot and make that good shot at just a small target at a farther distance than just the 20 yards.
And probably anytime you can start to tone in your nerves, it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is all nerves right here, and if you can tone that for 3D, I mean, it makes that game so much better.
Okay, now I've asked this before, and I'm gonna ask you again. Not really to you, but to other pros. But I want your perspective on this, and that is when you compare the two, because you do actively compete in the pro class in both sides of the sport, 3D archery and dot archery during the winter. Do you feel like one has more pressure? Do you feel like one version of archery is harder than the other?
I believe this is a lot harder than 3D, just because in here you can't make that mistake and gain it like you can on 3D. I mean, you can shoot an 8 and then shoot 12, 12, 12 to gain it back up. I mean, where here, if you miss the X, it's critical. I mean, you're almost out of it.
I believe that indoor archery is such a mind game. I mean, mentally it's above anything I've ever seen in my entire life. And the reason I say that is because with 3D archery, you're leaving. It's like you're going from hole to hole. You're leaving from one target to another. This indoor archery, you're on that line, and it's literally, you guys are packed together like sardines in some of these places, especially here in Iowa, 687 archers or something like that. So I used to. It's not that I didn't respect indoor archery. I hate it. So to me, and that's because I have ADD. So 2 arrows into a 5 spot, and I'm already thinking about what we're doing for lunch. So that's me. But let's go through your setup here from top to bottom. This is obviously not what you would roll into an ASA event. Why, and what is the difference between this? Are you shooting the edge for outdoors this year?
I'm not sure. I got a different Podium X that I have set up for 3D. Okay. I only shot it once, but it felt really good, and I'm getting speed out of it. So it's either the Pro Edge or the Podium I'm going to be shooting for 3D. Okay,
well, obviously you've got the brand new 2015 Hoyt Podium X. Is it the 37 or the 40?
This is the 37.
Okay, so the 37, and let's talk a little bit about, as far as your setup goes on the bow. Have you done anything with the grip? Have you done anything with, the cable guard and being able to adjust that? Talk to me a little bit about that.
I haven't touched the grip at all. I picked it up, shot it a couple times. It felt great, so I just wrapped it in the tape, and I'm rolling with it. Feeling really good. The cable guard, it's exactly how it is when it came out of the box. So pretty much because I can't get vein clearance if I move it in any further with these arrows. I'm shooting the spiral cam.
Now, what is your draw length?
On this bow, it's 27.
Okay, all right. So that's an advantage for you with being a 27-inch draw and having that speed from the spirals. Is it not when it comes to outdoor season? Even though we are here at indoors, is that something that your mind goes through of you trying to get as much of that speed as you can, or are you working for that forgiveness?
Well, I try to get as much speed as I can, but you still want the forgiveness where, I mean, this is the first year I've ever shot spiral cams. And with this bow, I'm really liking it just because of how I set it up, but I got GTX on my other 3D bow.
So, as far as your strings and your peep size, do you shoot a clarifier, and let's go over your strings and stuff like that?
I'm shooting the ABB Platinum strings this year. Okay. The peep size, I got a 16th size in there with a 4-power lens. I shoot no clarifier. Okay. I don't need it just because I have really good eyes. I mean, I'm one of the young people still, so I have the good eyes.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's go over your stabilizer setup. What do you have running as far as length and weight in the front, and then out the back?
I got a 27-inch Doinker. These are the Streamo series.
Okay.
Out front with, I think with the rubber on the front, it's 6 ounces.
Okay.
And then 15 ounce on the back, or 15 length on the back with 14 and a half ounces on the back.
Okay. All right, and let's talk about your rest setup. What are you doing here for a rest? I see you're running the Freak Show, and you're actually running it behind the tech support as well.
Yep. I have it back that far. In prior bows, I could never shoot a bullet hole. Okay. Anything I did, anything.
Do you hear that, people? A pro shooter could never shoot a bullet hole. It happens. You don't have to quit archery because you can't get a perfect bullet hole.
Never. But now, I mean, I put this back behind, and I mean, I just did a basic setup and shot one arrow and bullet hole.
Okay.
So maybe that was the thing, is bringing that rust back that little farther.
Sure. Now, I also see that you're running the new wide blade from AAE too.
Yeah. The main reason for that is just so with the big arrows,
Okay.
and with the indoor setup with the nerves, it can stay on the rest a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit now about your sight and scope setup.
I'm shooting the Axel Carbon Achieve.
Okay.
It's got the long bar on there. I like to adjust it whenever I can.
Okay.
So, but then I'm shooting the Shrewd 42 millimeter Nomad housing with I think it's actually a Feather Vision lens in there right now.
Okay. Right.
With a 10,000 just up fiber pin.
Okay. Now, what color fiber are you shooting with it?
I shoot green fiber.
Okay. So even with the yellow face, you're shooting a green dot.
Yeah. I don't like switching it back and forth between the 3D setup and the spot setup.
Okay.
So I try to keep it all the same, and that way it helps me with shooting this. It helps me shoot in 3D also too, because I have the same exact setup.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Talk to me a little bit about your release. What are you shooting here for a release this weekend?
Right now I'm shooting the Stand Blackjack 3-finger. I just got the Honey Badger in at home like a week ago, and I'm either switch over to that or I got a Fulcrum on the way.
Okay.
So I'm going to switch over to one of those two, but it was just too soon for me to switch over before this tournament.
Now, do you run the same release for indoor and 3D?
Both, yep,
Okay.
Same release. I mean, my biggest thing is you got to get used to one release and just stick with it.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your arrows then.
I'm shooting the Easton X27s. They're 2712s series arrows.
Okay.
300 grain up front.
Okay.
The AE Max Hunter vanes in the back, biter nocks, and I think they're cut to 30 inches.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And just a really, really, really forgiving setup for you. Now, you're obviously not going to, will you run those same arrows during 3D season, or will you switch over to something different?
I'm going to switch over to either the Fat Boy
Okay.
Eastons, or I just got word that I'll be getting some of the Superdrive 25's new Easton arrows in the mail shortly here. So I'm going to try those and see how those fly.
Okay. Real quickly, something that kind of goes forgotten in when it comes to indoor archery is you're standing on the line and you're not quite sure if it's a liner or if it's a knot. Optics is a huge part of indoor archery. What are you using for optics here for indoor?
I use the Alpen Rainier EDHD. 8x42, but I mean, you don't need any more than that. I mean, these are top of the line Alpen, and I've been using these for the past 3 years, and I absolutely love them.
Okay, so your time today to shoot is
3 p.m.
Okay, so 3 o'clock. You going to go practice yet, or are you done?
I'll practice probably an hour before I shoot, just 20, 30 arrows, and should be good after that.
Gotcha, folks. ASA Rookie of the Year, Andy Callaway here at the Iowa Pro-Am. Andy, thank you for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, Jason.